What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Redeploy Podcast, your weekly source for all kinds of Battlefield goodness. I'm Night Tide. As always, with me is ChaosMole.
Yes, totally not awkward. Hi! I'm always awkward.
It's okay, he's European.
Hi. It's, somebody has to be the class clown here on the podcast, and I apparently take that. So here we are with episode number two. Two. Oh god, when we are reaching like episode 100 at some point, I have already all forgotten about it. Episode 2 regarding Battlefield 2042. Mm-hmm. And we have topics to discuss. But before we jump into the topics, I have actually a topic I didn't tell you about.
Oh boy.
Oh my.
Ambush topic. Let's go.
No, it's actually not so the first thing we have, we are getting closer to the whole EA Play thingy, which is happening on the 22nd?
22nd, yes.
Yeah, it was the 22nd. Dates. But it's not the only thing we have regarding Battlefield 2042, because tomorrow, punch me in the face. No.
Sony State of Play?
Nah, that's Bethesda. I mean, they're literally showing just one Bethesda game there the whole time. But
are they only showing Deathloop? That's it?
Apparently so.
That's very weird.
That's a different topic, though. That's
a different podcast.
That's a very different podcast, yes.
Oh my goodness.
No, but we have the future of FPS, which is happening tomorrow. And that is, of course, not just Battlefield, but also like Apex Legends and stuff, but they would take deep dives on like the FPS games, and Battlefield is apparently a focus there tomorrow.
Really?
Is
that an EA thing? It sounds like an Nvidia thing.
No. It isn't an EA thing. So EA decided before EA Play, they have multiple days where they are focusing on multiple aspects of all the EA games. They are starting with the FPS games. I think the next day is sport, like everything sport related. Nobody cares, I know.
Oh, good, yeah, no one cares.
And I think the other one is like a Sims Day or something like that. It's super weird.
People will care about Sims Day. They will.
Oh, yeah. It's just super weird. It's like, wait, wouldn't you talk about all those things at EA Play? I mean, what are you doing?
You would think that, yes.
Yeah, so it's happening tomorrow, and the two main focuses of the future of FPS, that's what they literally call it, will focus on Battlefield 2042 and Apex Legends. And the whole shebang starts tomorrow at 1 p.m. EDT.
Really? Why do I have to have a day job and I have to then go watch you on trovo.live/ChaosMole?
Yes, because we will watch it. Exactly.
Because we'll watch it over there. Yes. And then we'll talk about it next week.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, apparently this will be DICE General's Manager, DICE LA, which, fascinating enough, speaking of which, DICE LA, which was always the supporting studio, like for a lot of people who don't know this, when Battlefield 4 came out, let's be real here, Battlefield 4 was in a not so great state. It was bad.
You're saying it's in a better state now?
Oh yeah. It was it was basically unplayable.
I remember playing Battlefield 4. I don't remember having that many problems outside of the fact that, again, me not being a Battlefield person was just like, why doesn't this game work the way that I wanted to?
It was so bad that the netcode was not working. Like, people were literally like teleporting, disconnecting the whole. It was horrible. They had to completely rewrite the netcode. And what DICE did, they were like, see you next time. We are out. And everyone was like, wait, what do you mean you are out? Yeah, this is EA, this is LA DICE, and they will now take care of you. They're a completely new studio, and they will now take over. Have a good one, bye. And so basically, LA DICE saved Battlefield 4. Like they did all the work and they saved that game and they became like a support studio over the years, like just saving those Battlefield games whenever it was necessary. And now LA DICE or DICE LA are now called Ripple Effect.
Okay.
They rebranded as Ripple Effect, which was very interesting because just a few months ago, Vince Zampella, the CEO of Respawn, actually joined DICE LA and took over there. Yeah, he joined in January of 2020.
I missed a memo somewhere? Mm-hmm. So he's not working on Respawn anymore? He's working on DICE LA?
Apparently he's still working at Respawn, but he is also the studio head since January 2020.
I saw something about that. Yes. I do remember seeing something about that.
Yeah.
And Vince Zampella.
And he said, we want to give it a new image. We want people to say, this is a destination you can go and make new content. Whatever that means. But apparently they just don't want to be a support studio. They are a support studio, of course, for 2042. They're also working on this secret game mode we don't know about, which is as far as we know, this is the all Battlefields together in one game mode thingy they're working on. Mm-hmm. But they're also apparently working on their own game now. So this is why they now have their own name, because they're working also on other stuff.
Yeah, they're doing a whole bunch of things. I think they Respawn also did the whole Medal of Honor spinoff for VR only too.
Yeah, but that was Respawn.
I know. I'm just saying, like, Respawn's been doing some stuff. It'll be interesting to see now how they're going to leverage this DICE LA and now this Ripple Effect. Interesting.
But yeah, a lot of stuff happened today regarding Battlefield to a certain extent. So this is why I wanted to bring this up, and this is why I didn't really warn you before that, because it all happened in the last few hours, and it was just like,
no, that's great. Okay, so we're getting this future of FPS look.
Yeah, tomorrow 1 p.m. ET, and we will watch it at trovo.live/ChaosMole if you want to join us. But let's go to our topics.
Yeah, so today we're talking about classes, and then I've got a surprise for you.
Specializations.
Specialization
is the correct term.
Excuse me.
I also say classes. I always hate that in literally every game.
Is it not a class? It's a class, right?
No, it's a specialization. I hate that in so many games when they're like, so we have a class here, but we call it something else. It's like, no, it's a class. It's a class.
The specialists. So you choose a specialist for your class. I will worm my way into it at some point. I know, you just choose a specialist. It's what it is.
So this is something entirely new. Mm-hmm. This is something they have never done before. They, like, as you said, we normally always only had classes, right? Like we had our medic, we had our support, we had our scout, the usual shebang, right? And that's how it always worked since Battlefield 1942. The year, not the game.
Yeah. I'm aware.
But no, like it's the first time where they now said, okay, look, we want specializations. And it's kind of fascinating. Question to you.
Okay.
So you are more the Call of Duty guy.
I am the Call of Duty guy.
Call of Duty has also now specializations or classes, right?
So COD's also always had classes. They've always had some type of a created class, but they did recently launch specialists, which are more just avatars. They're not like they don't actually have anything special about them. Maybe they might come with a special finisher
Wasn't
or
Black
certain
Ops
look.
4? Didn't Black Ops 4 have this weird ability
Kind of,
Overwatch
yes.
thingy?
Yes, it did. It did. They did have those for a while, and they kind of abandoned it. And really just making it more cosmetic in favor of using kind of a created class method to encompass all that stuff. But yeah, they did have specialists at one point. It was obviously a Treyarch thing because they're the ones that always like to experiment with a bunch of bad ideas. But yeah, so they had guys that had like ground spikes and people that could like shoot stuff, and
I
you could
remember
have
that,
like a robot that fired a Gatling gun and stuff. I don't know. I don't inherently have a problem with specialists in that sense. I just more appreciate the fact that, look, if we already have the ability to customize all this stuff, like why kind of shoehorn people into a specific kind of avatar that has these special abilities? Why not just allow you to play these special abilities?
Yeah.
But I get it, right? They're also kind of wanting you to embody an operator akin to like that whole Rainbow Six vibe, right? Like these are specialists. You're going to play this person. When you see this person out, you're like, whenever we see somebody with a grappling hook, we're going to be like, damn it, Webster, and you start to like call people by the avatar name, and that's where it gets kind of fun, like it gets interesting to be able to just, you don't even refer to the player's name, you just talk to them by their avatar name. And I think in some way, as a gamer, that helps to lessen the blow if you end up getting wrecked or anything. But I don't know, it's kind of fun in that perspective. But yes, so we've got specialists now in 2042.
Exactly. And I personally note, from me, I have to see how it plays, because when I think about specialists, I think about Rainbow Six Siege, as you already mentioned, because okay, we could also mention Overwatch or something like that. Like, they are of course not the first games, but let's be honest here, Rainbow Six Siege is one of the most like presented games nowadays which has those specialists, and it makes sense in an environment like Rainbow Six Siege, in my opinion. I'm not sure how it will work in a Battlefield game, where like I have to see it. I think I cannot really envision like how it will work, and I think this is a great time to take a look at the specialists and start with the first one.
Yeah, let's take a look at we're gonna call him Webster Mackey. Of course, they can't just
Weep.
It's Mackey. An ex-military lone wolf survivalist, Mackey is an ass kicker with a conscience. The Canadian-born assault soldier fights for the non-patrioted. Patrioted? I actually did read that right. I just didn't believe myself. To make right a regret from his military. See, okay. I. Now we're gonna go into it. So, the thing that I never understood about specialists, and they do this in Rainbow Six, they do this in Overwatch, they do it in Paladins, they do it in all these games, they do it in Apex. When your game is a singularly multiplayer shooter,
yes,
and then you shoehorn in like some backstory that maybe comes with a 30-second to 2-minute trailer of some of their backstory that then has zero context in the game, I don't care. Like, why? Why are you trying to get me to feel attached to Webster when, to me, Webster is a grappling hook in his nimble? That is what Webster is to me. Like, oh, you can pay Webster? It's not because he's a Canadian-born assault soldier, right? He's trying to right a wrong from his military days. I just want to use his grappling hook. I want to shoot the hooky and go up. That's what I want. So I don't understand. Why do you do this? Why? I
mean, they have like a story. It's kind of interesting, the story they are doing. It's also on the website. Like, they're actually doing some story there. But yeah, nobody gives a damn. By the way, just pointing this out, I have put you a link in Discord. This is what he reminds me of. He looks like freaking Van Damme.
He
when he
kind of
was
does
young.
look like Van Damme.
I was like, man, this face. I have seen this face before. What is this face? And then I was like, oh my god, he looks like Van Damme in like Street Fighter 2. Holy shit.
See, now you know what they're gonna do with him is he's going to basically be doing the splits between two buildings and like firing at people. Like, what is this? No, I don't mean to overreact to it. Actually, it's not true. I do. It bothers me. I don't understand. I don't understand why you have to kind of like throw all this story aspect into it. If you're going away from story, right? Like, do we know whether or not they're doing the war stories within this or not? I know we said there's
No,
like no campaign, so there's no war
they
stories.
have, but they have the story in general. There is like a leading story to all of this,
Sure.
and like the Patrioted, they have like a new faction coming up. It's they are trying to do a little bit of story, and they say that they actually want to do something similar to and we would jump into that on a
That's fine.
specific podcast. But just the TLDR, what they basically want to do is they want to do the same thing in Fortnite or even like in Warzone, where the whole story develops with the season and things are happening with the seasons.
Okay, that's fair. I get that. And COD kind of did something similar because there are still characters, right? So even though the specialists in COD are not anything special, they're just avatars. Whenever they introduce them along with some kind of trailer that's like, again, 2 minutes long or whatever, and it supposedly furthers a story or some kind of narrative
Exactly,
that
yeah.
no one cares about because they hit B to skip, right? So I don't know. We'll move past it. It's just one of my many gripes with these
When
types of
I mean,
things.
when the story is interesting, I'm definitely curious. I have already read the story for Battlefield 2042, and I'm
Okay.
actually curious about one specific thing. It's like I think around 2030 or 2032, they were like, "Oh yeah, Germany dissolved. Like Germany doesn't exist anymore." And it's like, we did what?
We
What
we
what
we
what
did what?
what did we
We
do?
dissolved? Why would we do that?
It's like, what? Yeah, we will see how that goes, but we will talk about story and lore, I think, on a different podcast.
A different
Let's
podcast for sure. So let's get back to good old Webster here, our
exactly.
Canadian-born assault soldier. So he's got a grappling hook, fires a rope that attaches to surfaces. When attached, the rope is retracted and the player gets pulled towards the attach point. That's a lot of words to say you go up.
We have actually, not necessarily, we have actually seen this already in action, kind of
Yeah, you can
curious.
kind of go forward too.
They have showed this in the gameplay trailer where he was like on this crane or something, and then he was like jumping to that crane, and then he was like,
Yep.
pew, grappling hook. So, grappling hooks, yay.
I mean, grappling hooks are always cool. I mean, if you again to draw from some other comparable experiences, when you look at things like the what's it, Pathfinder, Apex Legends, you can do a lot of really neat stuff with grappling hooks, and it's fun to see how over time the evolution becomes things like, oh, I can just get up to different places, or I can do this or that, and then that ultimately becomes like, oh, I can use my momentum and whip myself around by anchoring to various points. And so it'll be interesting to see how much of that physics you can play with within Battlefield 2042 with a grappling hook,
Yep.
and what kind of crazy stuff you can actually pull off with it. But having a grappling hook in the game certainly lends into, again, what they've been talking about wanting to make sure that they've got a lot more verticality and flexibility in how you can kind of fight and engage in these war zones. I think that allowing you ways to be able to access points and create like creatively is always fun, especially multiplayer games, because there's typically very, if you have a good squad, you're going to be able to control a choke point or a couple choke points at a time. And having something like a grappling hook really allows you to get outside of that door, that kill zone, or whatever that is, right?
Which is
That
one of the
murder
biggest
hole.
problem of Battlefield. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Battlefield 4 even more. This is why I love Battlefield 1 a little bit more, because Battlefield 1 has much more exit points, much more movement,
Mm-hmm.
and in Battlefield 4 you have those, as you already said it, like kill zones, where people
Mm-hmm.
are just standing against each other, and it's just grenades, rockets, everything. They are throwing shoes at each other. It's horrible. It's war out there. And even in Battlefield 4, you have a lot of moments where people take jets and use those jets to just land on a building, and then they're camping this building, and you basically have no chance to do anything against them. If you're not getting the right angle with the sniper, you're screwed. Good luck. And I think this grappling hook actually could help to alleviate those issues, because you can just say, well, you think yourself up there? Well, let me show you. So, yeah.
No, I like it. Yeah, I think it's important. The other thing we've got is nimble, allowing players to move more quickly while aiming down sights, further enhancing their speed-related advantages. I'm all about this. I freaking
We
love
can finally
speed.
be something in the game. We are not in real life.
I don't know. Like the more that I play these games, especially as it seems like they're kind of becoming ADS time and quickness of being able to go from sprint to fire and all those different things are ultimately differences between life and death in these games.
Yes.
And so having a character like this that not only has enhanced movement, essentially wherever you want with the grappling hook, but also has enhanced speed. That's a really
when you aim
combo.
down your sights.
Yep.
Like, as you already said, like in Battlefield 1, they, in comparison to Battlefield 4, it changed how quickly you can sprint and aim down your sights. Like, Battlefield had a lot of slowdown. It was a little bit more realistic, but Battlefield made it quicker, and that already gave a lot of people more advantage. And now, moving faster, aiming down your sights, okay, well, that should be interesting.
Like, yeah, you need it. Well, and this is right, player to move more quickly while you're ADS. So being able to strafe while you're ADSing and taking corners faster, that's one of the other issues you have. If you're trying to take a corner, at least Battlefield has a lean mechanic. But if you're, I don't know, sometimes it's not very intuitive when you're using a controller like I do to do the lean
It's
mechanic.
also not intuitive with a mouse and keyboard, believe me.
Yeah, so being able to just quickly sweep around a corner, a lot of times you can catch somebody. It's funny how sometimes the reaction times are different when you're sweeping around a corner looking for someone versus that person that's camping there. A lot of times, if you're moving, you can kind of catch them off guard because they're just waiting. And they kind of get stuck in that spot, and then you move past where they can shoot and they have to catch up, and you've already got them. So there's a lot of advantages to being able to move quick. So I'm excited to see that. But that's Webster. He's Webster. He's Jean-Claude Van Damme with a grappling gun.
He looks
Dear God,
like
it's
it.
Just Cause.
And he's not the only character who looks similar to some movie stars, but we will get to that.
Okay.
I'm wondering if that is intentional.
It could be. I'm going to move over to the next specialist, Maria Falk. A veteran support, Maria Falk has a strong will that cannot be shaken by danger, fear, or rank. This skilled medic's primary motivation is to find her son David among the non-patrioted groups spread across the world. She has a Surette pistol, fires a syringe at friendlies to provide healing. If fired at an enemy, the syringe will do damage. Combat Surgeon allows the player to return down allies to combat with full health when reviving. So she's a medic.
She is kind of medic, yeah, and I assume this is the syringe pistol she's holding. I just assume it. I was first believing that she is actually holding like a microphone. Like, those are one of those. No, like seriously, those they look exactly like those directional microphones you can use to hear in. It looks exactly like it. But no, it's probably the pistol. And I was immediately thinking about, the medic from Team Fortress 2. Because that's exactly what it is. Or,
I didn't really play Team Fortress 2.
If for the younger people out there, it's like
it's not that I wasn't in the right age group. I just wasn't playing on PC at the time.
The lady with the sniper rifle in Overwatch. What's her name? I always forget her name.
Oh my goodness, sniper rifle in Overwatch? Yeah, I can't remember.
She was like a medic who could also like do some sniping. I always forget her name.
Hmm.
But I mean that's kind of curious. So I wonder what that means to the medic in general. They had a lot of changes to the medic over the years from a Battlefield perspective. So at the beginning, they had the usual, like you're just putting down a cage or package, right? You're just putting that down, and people in the vicinity are getting healed. And that was basically the case till Battlefield 1. And I think with Battlefield 4, 3, something like that, they also added the abilities that you could throw them a med pack and you were good. They changed that with Battlefield 5. With Battlefield 5, yes, they had the first big change. You could still put down those crates, but they wouldn't heal anymore automatically. You had to go there and you had to grab out a med pack to heal yourself. And of course, all the players had a med pack on themselves, which was also a new addition.
Yeah, I didn't mind that. So I have played a little bit of 5. I've been trying to do some homework and kind of get myself familiar with everything. But yeah, the whole med pack system actually is pretty neat. I actually, for lack of a better term, enjoy that series of systems where you can throw down the pack and you're picking up ammo. You pick up a box of ammo as you run by an ammo crate, or you pick up one of those med things, and that way you're not so stuck into that med class if you want to be able to heal yourself, and it gives you a chance to take cover, heal, and then get back out there.
Exactly.
And then actual provide support as a medic by dropping med kits like that. It's a big deal. I think that's an underrated feature. That was probably one of a positive addition to Battlefield.
It was
5,
it definitely changed the battle dynamic and not having auto heal anymore. So I have to assume at this point that probably means that you will have your med pack, your first aid pack, like they did in Battlefield 5, but they removed all the other healing besides of the syringe pistol. I think this will be the only way how you can heal people. And that means there will be a skill cap on how to heal. Like you now have to aim, and you have to hit the players to heal them. Would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see, right? Because there's still going to be the hierarchical classes of these things. So like these specialists live within a group of classes. So she's going to be under the medic class. So I wonder when we see more of these specialists, if we actually see some of how that's going to work. To your point, if we see a different medic that has the ability to toss down the crate and people can pick up packs like they could in 5, then that does really pose an interesting kind of conundrum. Do you go with the, hey, I can heal you at range? Or do you stick with the, hey, we're going to bunker down and I can just chuck down a pack and we can all pick some up and go? You really have to start to make those choices between your play style. And that does add some variety to the field, which I think is kind of neat.
Yep.
It's not so standardized.
And the combat surgeon, well, it seems like they are very much going with the system of Battlefield 5, where if you were in a squad, you can pick up each other at 50% health. It would just take a while, and the only one who can actually fully pick you up quickly is the combat medic.
And like, you're fully healed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
was a good system.
I actually really like the system that anyone can pick each other up in Battlefield 5.
If you are in the same squad.
I was picking up people that weren't in my squad.
No, it should be squad. Well, they changed it with the reason. No, it should only be squad.
I'm pretty sure I was able to pick up just people as I was running. So we'll have to go back and revisit. We'll do some homework. But I thought the idea that you can actually just like pick up people off the battlefield and kind of give them a hand and kind of get people back into the fight, I thought was a really neat idea in Battlefield 5 as well. Some good ideas. I mean, for as much as people seem to really be frustrated with Battlefield 5, and trust me, there's plenty of reasons I'm frustrated with Battlefield 5 when I play it. There's a lot of good systems in there. A lot of good systems.
Yep. And no, you still need a squad.
We're getting conflicting information from chat.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
no.
squad mate. Yep.
Yeah,
So
squad
squad
mate.
mate
I just checked the recent talk about it.
updates,
No,
and you can
it's
only pick up squad mates. Okay,
you.
fair enough. Maybe I'm just hunkering around my squad a bunch, and I was picking them up.
I
But
mean, you do that a lot in Battlefield games, so that seems totally fair. So yeah, she seems to be like the standard medic.
yeah, and again, I don't mind it. I think that's cool. I like the fact that the medic has the ability to fully heal you, pick you up and get you right back into the fight. I think that that's an underutilized um, skill set in a lot of these things. Where if you again, if you're down and you can get picked back up, especially in a game like Battlefield where it's not always a one shot, right? It's not always that one shot down. You do have a couple shots. If you can be up at full health, that might be the difference between you being able to make it to cover and then, heal yourself again, or, potentially get out of a bad situation. So those are definitely going to be
One
worthwhile
last thing,
characters.
I'm
Okay.
super curious how they do the healing. If it will be an instant heal, like you hit him, they get 20 health back or whatever, or if it will be like a hot effect. So you get hit
Oh,
and then it slowly regenerates.
I mean, it says allows a player to return downed allies to combat with full health when
No, no, I
reviving.
mean
So my,
the healing pistol.
oh, you're saying just in aspect of healing.
Yeah, if it will
Yeah,
be
I
a
don't
hot
know.
or an instant heal, because the difference can be huge. Like, let's say you
Yeah.
really are good at healing, you're really good at aiming, and you are hitting those healings, and you cannot kill the person in front of you because he gets permanently healed. That would be frustrating, I would
Well,
assume.
I mean, you'd have to assume that again, now we're going to get into some specifics, but I would assume that this type of a pistol is going to be having to be a dart. So I doubt, and it doesn't look like there's a magazine in the pistol, so that's going to have to be individual
Oh,
reloads.
yeah, you're
So I
right.
wonder how many of those you'll have, or if there's a cooldown that's associated with them, for how many times you can use that. So there certainly is going to
Good point.
be some lag time, I would assume, between shots of
It's
that, right?
probably an ability, like you were hitting Q and then you were doing this super quickly or something like that. Yeah, I thought it as a weapon and not.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
I would assume it's some type of ability, right? Just kind of like now that you mention that though, it makes me wonder if our boy Webster is going to be able to use his grappling hook at will, or if it's going to be something that has a cooldown to it. That would
Well,
make things interesting too, because being able to spam a grappling hook might get a little OP real fast. Whereas if there's a cooldown to it where you can only use it every, once a minute or so, or once every 30 seconds or so, that drastically changes how you actually engage with that tool. So
absolutely.
we'll have
Let
to.
me see if I can actually, if they're actually showing it. Oh, no, no, no. So this is interesting. I have it in front of me here right now. I have the gameplay trailer. And
Okay,
he is pulling out the grappling gun.
right.
Like, it is a grappling gun. It has infinite ammo, and he can just use it. You can just use it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if that's the same thing with that, you're still going to see a lag time in between reloads, but you could potentially use it. Oh, we'll have to see. That is going to be
But
a big game changer. They might have to balance that.
well, the balance is he has the gun in his hand, the grappling gun, not his
I
normal
got you.
gun. So he
Right.
cannot really shoot, you know?
Well, I'm talking about, like you said, the scenarios where if you're a healer, right? If you're Maria and
Oh,
you're hiding
yeah.
around a corner and you're peeking out and you're healing a teammate that's on the front line, right? Especially if there's someone with an LMG and they're laying down some serious suppressing fire,
Yeah.
all those different things, those are going to impact the battlefield in big ways if they're not totally balanced. So we'll have to see. But moving on to our
Yes.
next specialist, Piotr Boris Guzgovsky.
He reminds
Self-motivated.
me of. Continue first. I try to find the name.
You think of the name self-motivated and self-fulfilling. Boris seeks to acquire power and control in the chaotic world. This Russian-born engineer is very experienced weapons expert on task force, although his true attachment to the team is suspect. He has a SG-36 sentry system, automatically spots and engages enemy targets detected within a certain area, and then sentry operator, spots the enemy target when the sentry gun locks on the enemy in question. I don't know how this is supposed to work.
You just
Like,
insulted, I think, every Russian out there.
listen, we
No.
all we all have to poke fun at each other. Make every American sound like cowboy. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Boris has a sentry system. So automatically spots and engages enemy targets. Okay, so that's fine. It's just a normal sentry gun. And then sentry operator spots the enemy target when the sentry gun locks on the. Okay, so that just gives you a spotting mechanic. That's actually neat because it allows you then to kind of have that sentry sweep an area. And if someone gets spotted, then you can be like, oh, we got 2, 3 over this way. And so it's automatically going to suppress them, but also let you know where they were. I like that. That's actually a pretty powerful that's a pretty powerful set of abilities there.
Yeah. I'm a little bit afraid, not gonna lie. I'm a little bit afraid of the sentry operator. Like, I haven't really seen a game where turrets worked immediately at the beginning. Like, I just remember back Team Fortress 2, Overwatch, even. And did Call of Duty had some turrets at some point?
Oh, they've always had sentry guns.
Cool. How did they work in Call of Duty? Great?
So
Fun?
in sentry guns, actually, you can defeat with certain perks. So I
Okay.
love when people use sentry guns because I use the thing that people can't see it. So they'll set down a sentry gun and I just run straight at it and then take it out and then kill them because they don't think anyone's coming. It's kind of fun. That's my tea, but I don't know how you would counter this. I would hope in 2042 there's maybe some type of an EMP grenade or something
Yeah.
that you can use to take these kinds of things out. We'll have to see. But overall, that's going to be a solid area denial tactic and a route denial
A very
tactic to be able to throw
static
that sentry
character.
down.
A very static
Yes.
character. Because you want to stay around your tools, and I'm pretty sure that you cannot just pick them up on the fly, or that's what I would assume for balance reason.
Yeah.
Because it would be a little bit crazy if you're literally walking 3 meters, turret, walking 3 meters, turret. It's like, yeah, no.
See, again, this is where we'll have to get into the nitty gritty, and I hope that we see some more tomorrow, and hopefully maybe even if we can just see some gameplay aspects of this, just to kind of get a sense of how it works. I would think from a balance perspective that you'd get one turret, and you could pick it up
Yeah.
and move it,
Yeah.
right? And if it gets destroyed, maybe you get a cooldown where you get another one, and then you can throw that other one down. But I'm fairly certain you're putting it down and then you're done. The other question is there going to be an engineer kind of ability where you can actually heal things, and could you heal the turret? Because that would be a pain in the frickin' that
I
would not be fun.
That would be very interesting. We don't know, like, it seems they haven't talked about this at all, so it's a little bit tough to make an assumption here. But it seems like they haven't talked about, like, your tool sets. They've talked about
Right.
weapons, which we will get to in just a few, but they haven't really talked about tool sets at all. Like, normally you
Yeah.
can choose your grenades, you can use, like, repair kits and something like that. Like, you can choose your own tools. They haven't mentioned this at all. Not a single
Well, like I
word.
said, they very briefly mentioned that there's going to be a general set of gadgets that are available to people
Yeah, but
that outside of these specialists, but who knows what that means,
could be
right? Who
grenades.
knows what that means?
Yeah, so we have to see about that to really determine how helpful it is. But I would say we are going to the. And he reminds me a bit of like Kurt Russell. I mean, with beard? No, no.
Wait, oh, are you trying to say this guy?
No, the
Kurt
previous
Russell?
one.
He's more of a
Yeah.
Bruce Willis if I
Oh,
had to
Bruce.
peg him.
Yeah. Or what was his
I mean,
name?
his face structure's not quite there, but I don't know. That stare is very Bruce Willisy.
That could be, yeah. All
I
right,
don't know.
next
I
one.
was trying to peg it now that you had it, but I can't. All
No,
right,
no.
next one we have Wickus Casper Vendale or Dale. Recon Soldier Wickus is a loner and the unflappable, calm presence on the task force. An introvert, Wickus does not make acquaintances easily, but his determination to fight for a better world is rock solid,
Giggity.
much like his ghillie suit. Like, okay, so OVP recon drone spots nearby moving targets and can disorient enemies using EMP blast.
Well,
Can also
disorient.
use to designate targets for lock-on weapons. Interesting.
So this would be the first ability which technically could work together with the sentry turret?
Potentially, yeah.
This could be the first possibility. Then the other one would be when we are talking about lock-on weapons, pretty much like your usual anti-tank rocket launcher. We already had them in Battlefield 4, that there was like a marker. You could mark tanks and helicopters, and then you just have to shoot the rockets and you hit.
And then the second thing, he's got his movement sensor. Alerts the player to approaching enemies. I had to stop a sneeze there. Alerts the player to approaching enemies both while boots on the ground and when piloting the recon drone. Interesting. Hi. Sorry.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. But no, so this is an interesting thing to me, because that's one of the biggest kind of things that you worry about when you're more of a sniper. And as this character is kind of gillied up a little bit, it seems that they're taking on, like I said, the recon type of a role. If you're pushing up, close to enemy lines, or you're behind enemy lines and you're trying to post up and you could have enemies spawning behind you, it really does help if you've got some extra range on those hearing to see if you can out somebody coming up behind you. Especially
I wonder how they do it.
your tags.
Because Battlefield 1 technically had that. Now, of course, they didn't have a movement sensor, but you had a flare gun. You could just shoot in front of your feet or around the corner or anything, and the flare gun would then just show all the enemies in the range on the minimap.
Yep. Okay.
You could see them, and the range was actually really big.
Well, like you said, you can show it. You shoot at the ground.
You could no, you're not giving away your position. If you were like shooting them right, the enemy, like, you could hear it a little bit. Like, you would hear the flare. So if the enemy gets closer and is smart, which, let's be honest here, most people aren't. But if you're smart, you're like, flare. Oh shit, they know I'm here. Well, shoot. Right? So they had something similar, but this one doesn't sound like a mini-map thing.
No. Well, it could be. So there's a similar perk in Call of Duty. It kind of similar. It's called Danger Sense, and what it does is basically kind of gives you a little bit of like a flash on your screen from a direction where you're where an enemy can see you. So I wonder if that would be kind of a similar representation. If it's not on the mini map, if it's something kind of like shows on your screen, like, hey, you got people coming, either coming from behind or from the sides, and kind of alerts you to that presence in that way. So you have that visual indicator.
They have that similar, like on the mini map with the flare. If like the mini map is very small and you couldn't make it bigger. So if they were not in like a 10-meter radius or something like that around you, like super close, they would just be a red, like, as you said, like a red thing outcrop further away. So you would know not the exact direction, but you would kind of guess where it's going.
Right. And I think that the interesting part to me is, it's like when you're piloting the recon drone, typically in games, when you pilot something, it kind of takes you into its point of view. I wonder if now you're going to like pull up a device and just like hold it and be looking at the device so you can still see that kind of alert.
Probably.
Or if you're going to be fully in that kind of thing's field of view. We'll have to see. I'm actually very curious as to how that would work. But yeah, I mean, recon drones is going to be one of those things that's going to be a huge help. Again, thinking about tactics, it's Battlefield always kind of, again, not always, but has very recently kind of touted itself on that kind of more, arcade but still mil-simmy experience. And when you need to use tactics, you need to work together as a squad to take of things and to hold objectives and to do that. And being able to throw up a recon drone and pilot it and be like, oh, okay, well, we got 3 in this building, 3 in this building. And then when you're coming around a corner or around some kind of objective, you're already looking where you need to look. That is just
depending on how quickly you can shoot down the recon drone.
Yeah. But I mean, even if you shoot down a recon drone, well, people are near, right? Those are all going to be kind of good things, but we'll have to see. You brought up a good point though in the beginning that I want to go back to. Being able to pair these things. You have to wonder again if it would pair with Boris's Sentry and being able to target things in addition to what the Sentry's already targeting, and be able to kind of rain that down. That would. Whoo,
I wonder
that
what the
would
range
be an
also
interesting.
of that turret is. I think that's very important. If the range of that turret is like, I don't know, 5 meters slash 6 feet or something like that, nobody cares.
You wonder if it's going to be something like in the Division where it's like it's basically like an auto pistol kind of a deal, or if it's going to be something a bit heavier. I mean, you would
No, also range. Also range. Just like how
well, that's
far
what I
can the
mean.
thing shoot,
Well,
right?
a lot of that has to do with it.
Okay.
It's a big turret.
It's a big one. Yeah.
It looks fairly large. He's lugging around a big turret. So I would assume that thing's probably got some decent range to it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I wonder if it's gonna be like a little pop turret,
No,
like in the Division,
it's,
where you can just like chuck it out and it's like.
It has size. It has size for sure.
It's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. But yeah, I mean that's all of our specialists. So we got Wickus, Boris, Maria, and
then
Webster.
Yeah.
Webster
So
and Van Damme. Webster Van Damme.
So they have already more specialists showing in the bottom. Like, how many are there still missing? 4?
More than that. 2, 4, 5, 6. 6 more.
So we have 10 in total. Yeah, they're starting out. So those will be the release specialists.
Yep.
So we will find out who they are, all of them, at some point. Probably they will show us another 2 or so at EA Play, would be my assumption, and then they will slowly reveal them till the release is coming around. But they already have said that every season they will also introduce another specialist. And for the first year, we are getting 4 more specialists. So
I mean,
quite a bit.
It's a good cadence. I mean, if they're planning on maintaining this game for a while, which it sounds like they are, because they're going full online route.
So, yes.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how they end up going about it. But if they're setting it up the way that the way they are setting it up to utilize the seasonal system, to add specialists, to do those different types of things, to entice people to be part of that kind of battle pass system, which they've already implemented in previous games, and we know is a huge moneymaker for games that use it.
Yeah.
Those are all good things, in my opinion, in terms of longevity, because they seem to be able to really keep a game going. I mean, Apex, you look at games like Apex that struggled for a long time, games like For Honor that struggled for a long time, even Rainbow Six Siege that struggled for a long time, but they keep up with these seasons. They keep pushing out this additional content, and somehow it just keeps that community fed and allows them to continue to kind of push. And every once in a while they get those breakout moments where everyone just kind of comes back to it and it takes off. So it's a good model for these continuous multiplayer type experiences. I think it'll be a good one.
It's kind of funny because like this is why I'm a little bit like holding back on it, and I'm not super excited, because that's exactly what Battlefield 5 tried to do and failed miserably, where you were like, wait, how can you screw this up? How can you screw up this system? Like, we had so many games who showed how it works, and Battlefield 5 screwed it up. It's
to be fair, Apex Legends screwed it up first, and then got it right later.
Yeah, but Battlefield 5 was then, okay, well, then we are abandoning Battlefield 5. Well, goodbye.
I think that's where they're at this point. I think that they're going to be doing a lot of throwaway on what's come before, which is potentially sad for people that really enjoy those experiences. But I think that we're gonna be moving into this next era of Battlefield, and that's gonna be an interesting look.
So, speaking about the classes or specializations, I think there's one thing which is also really, really important, and that is weapons. Like, we don't know which type of weapon we are getting, right? We have seen some DMRs here. We have seen some some SMGs, like the Vector was, I think, shown. I showed the Vector briefly, and that was all fine. But we don't really know what's coming. We have no clue. But the interesting part is, this time, weapons will not be bound to classes anymore.
Right.
Like, everyone can use everything. Which is also a big deal, because we didn't really have that in Battlefield.
Well, if I pop over to back over to our screen, we can kind of look at these specials again. Wickus here definitely has some type of an AR kind of platformed rifle, so very versatile. Could be a bunch of different calibers, probably 308 or something around there. And then you look at Boris. Boris definitely has an AK variant of some kind. That could be that AK-12 you mentioned in one of the
This is
shows. That's an AK. That's 100% an AK platform. I just don't know what it is.
Could be an AKM.
Could be. So not sure about that. Obviously, again, Maria has that little healing pistol, and then we've got Gatling guns. So just in terms of overall weapons, I mean, we're certainly kind of nailing that modern time period. You got a couple good scopes. I'm seeing foregrips, adjustable stocks. Laser sights. This is all kind of the standard fare for what we're looking at. Nothing giving away too much here.
Yeah, they're definitely showing a little bit more in the gameplay trailer thingy. They're definitely swapping through there, but it's still not too much. But it's still interesting because let's be honest here. One of the biggest problems Battlefield had a little bit when it came to balance, and this was the reason why this all existed, is why certain classes could only use certain weapons.
Right.
Because when you think about it, like having a sniper who could just throw out its own ammo packs, nobody wants that. Like, hey, I have infinite ammunition here, suckers.
Yeah, but there's counters. I don't know. That's where it's coming into. I think they realizing that you have these abilities, and so now you have counters, and they, you've got vehicles, you've got the ability to call in vehicles on top of people. You have the grappling gun to get to different places. I mean, yes, I think snipers are going to be annoying because they're always annoying for people. I love annoying people as a sniper. It's one of my favorite pastimes, but I think ultimately you're going to get to a place where that gets balanced out, and we have to see what else we have, right? If what other types of things do we have at our disposal with these different specialists to combat some of those things? Because I guarantee there's going to be something.
Yep.
But that's really it. Do you have anything else?
It's just like with the weapon system. It's like I really wonder like what it will all come together in the end, right? It's like weapon balance had always been a little bit of an issue with Battlefield games. It's not as crazy as what I sometimes hear from Call of Duty when I'm like reading those tweets every week when the new Call of Duty Warzone patch is coming out, and everyone's like, this gun is insane.
That's Warzone. That's not COD. We've established this. No, weapon balance in COD is fine. Like in COD multiplayer, weapon balance is fine. Again, it's funny to hear the other side of the coin, because for me, the weapon balance in Battlefield has always been crap because the good guns are buried under level ups, and into those different types of things. Now, I will say, having now played Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, it was certainly a lot easier to pick up the kind of starting classes and be effective much quicker and much easier than I have in past Battlefield games. Like Battlefield 3 and 4 were
oh yeah, they were definitely good and bad weapons. Like I play a lot of Battlefield 1, and a lot of my classes are actually using the level 1 weapons.
Yeah.
Because they're really good. Like it really in Battlefield 1 and even in Battlefield 5 to a certain degree, they have managed for the first time to just feel all weapons being efficient under certain circumstances.
Right.
Like if you're running around with a Thompson, well, you probably don't want to use the Thompson on a huge open map with kilometers, because like is what it is, right?
It's a submachine gun. It's not meant to reach out and touch somebody at range.
Yeah.
Right?
And
you should be using something better.
they got definitely much better at it. But I'm still like, with the specialization, I'm really curious what they will allow. Like, I think it will come down to what gadgets do they allow, combined with which weapons, with which classes, and they have to do a lot of balance.
Sure.
And they like, this is sometimes the problem I had with Battlefield. They're balancing a lot at the beginning, and then later on they are slowing down, and then they sometimes move on to the next Battlefield, and they're just leaving it in the dirt, like Battlefield 5, like even Battlefield 1. They had the last Battlefield 1 patch, I think, 1.5 years before Battlefield 5 came out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
Talk about cutting and running.
Same with Battlefield 5. It's like Battlefield 5, the last patch is now 1.5 years old. So they're getting close to
really?
like. Let me see when the last, like, Into the Jungle was the last Battlefield thing. Let me see when that came out. Battlefield 5 Into the Jungle. That came out.
Well, is that a content expansion or is that an update? Because they can be different things.
Well, it is the same thing, basically. They always did the content together with, like, the patches when they do balancing, because that was their season stuff at the point. That came out January 13th last year. Yep.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yep. And
for sure.
What was the last Battlefield 5 patch? I think it was actually that one. They had some bug fixes and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they definitely had some afterwards. But well, yeah, it seems like the last update was in June last year.
Yeah, that's too long.
They basically gave up on it.
I've got an interesting surprise for you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, as an established Battlefield veteran that you are, and me wanting to learn, I feel like we should have some homework every week for me. So what should I play this week? Should I play, like, what kind of mode or class or something do you think that I should experience this week that we can talk about next week?
If I want to be a dick, I tell you, play Battlefield Hardline.
I love Hardline.
No, it just... I mean, the only thing they're apparently bringing back from Hardline is the ziplines.
I'll take them. Like, ziplines are freaking amazing.
But it seems like we're bringing back ziplines. But what should you play? Like, Battlefield is weird. Every Battlefield still exists. And every Battlefield has service life. People are still playing. I think you can still find, like, Battlefield Bad Company 2 servers and play them. And find the Battlefield you enjoy.
Well, so I have 5 installed. I have Battlefield 5 installed. I'm happy to install 1 because you've been playing 1. Is there something in 1 that you think is worth, either related to classes or related to other things, that I should play to experience?
I mean, they have the specialists in those, like, you can pick up, but that's the problem. Like, Battlefield, like all the Battlefield games are very much their own little bubble, and which is a problem because EA have forsaken all of them. Like seriously, it's like they have forgotten that Battlefield 1 exists. And it's like, are you crazy? It was one of your most successful Battlefield ever, and you moved on from it. Battlefield 5, Battlefield 4, like they said it themselves once. When Battlefield 1 came around, they were like, oh yeah, we screwed this up, folks, with Battlefield 4. Like, people are still playing it like crazy, and we have completely given it up, and we will not make the same mistake again with Battlefield 1.
And then they do.
And then they did. And then they did with Battlefield 5. It's like, I cannot really like tell you, oh yeah, you have to play this and this and experience this and this, because this is what I said before. Like, DICE likes to take gameplay components and completely swap them out. It doesn't matter if they worked. Like, even if they worked and you say, yeah, this was actually really good, they're like, nah, we didn't take it. We didn't like it. We moved it out. It's like,
fair.
Why? It's a weird thing.
I'll play some Battlefield 5 this week. I'll take a look at their Battle Pass system and see just how jacked up it is, because I really didn't look at it.
Is it still active?
I think so.
Okay. Like, the biggest problem with the Battle Pass system was quick thing. You had a week to basically reach the end of it.
Okay.
And if you didn't do all the things you had to do, and sometimes it was some bullshit crap like put 3 TNT underneath a plane which is doing a loop when it hits actually a soldier behind a wall. And it's like, oh, come on. And then if you didn't manage, well, you didn't get the gun.
I'll have to take a look.
It's like, what?
I'll look for some shenanigery in the Battle Pass and see how that goes.
I think you can actually now just buy the guns with the in-game currency. They actually realized that that was a pretty shitty idea to do so, and you can now just buy them, which is good.
Well, I'll take a look. I'll take a look at what's currently in the Battle Pass versus what you can actually pick up and buy. Now you can buy the guns outright just through playing and getting currency, but we'll check that out in Battlefield 5. But that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the Redeploy podcast. Make sure that you are liking, following, subscribing, wherever it is that you are listening, watching this show, and following us at Redeploy Podcast on Twitter. That's going to do it for myself, Nighttide, ChaosMole. Catch up with us later. We will talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Auf Wiedersehen.